Hey everybody, what's up, and welcome to another episode of the Walk in Love podcast. I'm your host, TJ Macedas, and that was the song Common Love by a band called For All Seasons off of their new Clarity EP. Would totally recommend you checking that out because I think it is a really good, solid album with a lot of great songs, and Common Love, that song that I just played, is my favorite. How are you guys doing? It's good to be here. We have a great show for you today. We have Trey Burton of the Philadelphia Eagles on. He's going to be talking with us for a little bit. And if you are wondering who Trey Burton is, he is the young man that threw this touchdown pass. So this is the Super Bowl. And he was this is the Super Bowl, fourth down, trick play, Nick Foles. Oh, he's not going to be quarterback. He's going to just walk off to the side. They're going to pitch it to Trey Burton, and he is going to throw a touchdown pass. So that man, Trey Burton, is on today. We're excited to have him on the show. Solid dude, and really grateful that he took the time to talk with us. So that's coming up. But before we get into that, I'm going to tell you guys just a little bit about what we have going on here. I'm trying to do more video with the show, so sorry if I seem a little bit distracted, but I'm trying to show you guys more video and just have it be more engaging in a lot of different ways. So if you probably noticed the last 2 weeks, I'm the only one on the show. That's because we've had some staff changes here at Walk in Love. And I thought maybe I would talk about this, and then I thought I wouldn't, but I just feel like it's good to be honest and upfront about some things that happen in life and in business and things like that. So I'm going to share. So when you run a business, you have people who come and go. And that's just sort of the nature of it. You know, there's no bad blood between any of the people who recently moved on. Emily's moving on to start her own company, photography company, and Lex was just ready for a change, and so they both moved on. And so that left me at a place of okay, what do I do? We'd grown this team, and now the team is smaller, and so I really was just I'm going to listen to the Lord and ask Him what He wants from me, and sort of try to focus in on actually just being still and listening instead of just reacting and replacing people to do the jobs that they were doing. Maybe the Lord's trying to tell me something. Maybe there's something else out there for me, something different. And so I just spent a lot of time over their last 2 weeks to just really listen and understand what the Lord wants from me. And I came to the conclusion that I think what I'm going to do is try to see what I can manage, see how I can manage Walk in Love by myself with a little bit of help from our part-timer Matt, and see if that's the change that he wanted to make. Maybe simplify the way we do things a little bit, maybe focus on something else, maybe just focusing on simplicity for a little bit. So that's what I'm doing. And I've printed out these sheets for my work days. So this is Monday, and I've got my tasks here and the amount of time that I want to do it. I'm really trying to time block. So right now I'm in record episode because I just want to try to see if maybe simplifying what we do, spending a little bit more time on it, me personally, will maybe open up something that the Lord is trying to speak to me. And I think a lot of times when people see business owners, and because we share, because business owners are so open about sharing on Instagram and what they're doing, you can kind of sort of glamorize it in your mind, oh man, that'd be so cool if I could just record podcasts and talk to Super Bowl champs and just be that. And you don't a lot of times see the other side of it, which is the nittier grittier side, which is trying to deal with the staff and understand how to serve them well and lead them well, but knowing that they're their own people. And at some point, some of them are going to leave. And it's very rare that people stay with companies a long time now. That seems sort of like a thing of the past. And I think the average person is with a company 2 years before they move on to something else. And so being a leader in that kind of culture is a little bit challenging. But you just roll with the punches, and there was a time in my life where I would have been frustrated and angry and bitter, and I've learned that that's not really worth it, and that as a leader, I can just move on and be happy for people moving on to something new, and just focus on what I need to focus on, which is creating good content for our great customers and hopefully providing them with something of value that they really, really love. So that's kind of what's going on here. I thought I'd share a little bit, just get a little honest about it. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer. Leave them in the comments. Or if you have any questions about sort of that time in business ownership, I'd be happy to answer them for you. We before we get to the interview with Trey Burton, we are going to go to some trending topics. And one of my favorite things that happened this week was Shaun White winning the gold medal. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but I watched this live with Brooke. And I haven't been watching a ton of the Olympics, not as much as I thought I would, but that's mostly just because we have a new baby and things like that. But Shaun White was down. This the guy from Japan was in the lead, and he had to nail this run. And I just remember being so nervous for him. I don't know who he is. I've never met this man in my life, but man, I wanted him to win. Redemption for him from a previous Olympics that he did not do so well in last time, and then he had a bad injury, and so I was just amped up. And Brooke was like, "You are so nervous about this right now," and I really was. It was so scary and intense, but let me fast forward to a clip of him sort of landing so here's the moment where he realized that he nailed it, and he's emotional, and I feel like he knew at that point that he won. But it was such a cool moment, and I'm glad I got to watch it live. The Olympics are a little weird because they're so far away, and you're technically watching tomorrow morning, and so it's sort of a weird thing. But that moment for me was a really cool Olympic moment. I haven't watched much since, but a highlight of my Olympics for sure was watching Shaun White win the gold. So yeah, that was a big trending story that kind of took over the internet for a day. The other trending story is that Black Panther is out. So Black Panther is here, and people are freaking out about it. Everyone seems to love it, except for me. So here's my Black Panther review. I was so excited to see it, and I am a huge Marvel fan. I really like all the Marvel movies. Not all of them, but I like most of them. And so I was like, this is going to be good, super hyped, but I was kind of disappointed. And maybe, and I felt like it was very similar to the first Thor movie. So the first Thor movie I thought was a little boring and a little bit too long. And I kind of felt like this about Black Panther, that it was about 20 minutes too long. And it just sort of it was just sort of a little bit boring to me. I felt like there was a lot of scenes of the main character, the Black Panther, basically saying the same thing to different people. He wants to be a good king, he wants to be a good leader, and he said that to his sister, and then he said that to his girlfriend, and then he said that to his dead father, and then he said that to his mom, and I just felt like all of those scenes could have been condensed into one. I felt like they introduced the villain, who's played by Nick Cannon, super well. He was all sneaky and really it was kind of a cool way, real subtle way to introduce him. And then from that point on, I thought he was very obvious in everything that he said. I thought he was just kind of over the top and basically said what he wanted to do over and over again. Where when they introduced him, I thought he was going to be this super sort of under the radar sneaky villain. But that's just my review. If you liked it, you liked it, and if you didn't, you didn't. And that's the interesting thing about this movie. It seems to be so polarizing. You have to love it, or you don't know what you're talking about, and if you hate it, you're a racist, and all this kind of weird sort of stuff going on the internet about this movie. And I'm like, it's just a superhero movie, everybody. Let's take a breath. If you like it, that's great. If you don't like it, who cares? Move on. There's probably people who don't like Toy Story in the world. Do I understand those people? No. Will people understand that I don't like Panther? I don't know, probably not, but that's just my honest opinion about it. I probably won't watch it again. I'm excited, though, for it to continue because, like Thor, I thought the first Thor was so boring. And the second one was an improvement. And then the third, the most recent Thor Ragnarok, I thought was one of Marvel's strongest movies. So I always think first movies are a little bit harder to get because they have to do this backstory and sort of create this character and create this world. And they spend a lot of time creating that can be a little bit drawn out. That you don't get to the action and the drama and the intrigue as quickly, and then they sort of build that into the sequel and the trilogy as well. So, that's my opinion. It was okay, but if you liked it, great. I just kind of felt like it fell a little bit flat. So that's sort of the two trending topics. We always go over what's trending at Walk in Love. And if you guys didn't notice, last week on this podcast, we announced walkinlovecontent.com. And so I'm going to take you through a little tour of the website. So this is walkandlovecontent.com. We basically, when Emily decided to move on to start her own business, we posted this like, hey, we're hiring a content creator job. And we got hundreds of applications from all over the country. And so it started making me think, okay, if I'm going to simplify what I do and maybe not bring on more staff, what does that look like in terms of content? How do I create that sort of volume of content that we're known for? And so I decided to create this site called walkandlovecontent.com, where we pay you as a photographer or content creator to create content for us. And so if you go through this site, this is how it works. You can select a campaign, which are listed below. You submit a short brief and examples of your work, and then you submit an invoice and get paid. So we have some current campaigns up there, but what we're really excited to do is release the Tease of the Week this way. So a lot of these campaigns will be Tease of the Week specific. And if you have any more questions, you can go to walkandlovecontent.com. You can apply here up at the top. You can see the content required. So we require 2 full body vertical images, 2 medium vertical images, 2 detailed vertical images, 2 smiling happy face vertical images, and then 2 horizontal images of your choosing. We've gotten a lot of great applications already, which is super exciting. I haven't had the chance to go through them, but I've sort of clicked through all of them, but I've sort of clicked through a few, and I'm like, oh, there's so many talented people in this world. It is amazing. So we're excited to see what you guys do and start creating with you some really great content. But yeah, that's kind of what's happening lately. I'd love to know what you guys think about Black Panther. Matt saw it, who works here, and he sort of gave it a similar review. He probably liked it a little bit more than I did. I have another buddy, Chase, that saw it, and sort of similar. I actually went with a friend of mine who works at Supply named Kyle, and he felt sort of similar. So I don't know if we're in the minority or whatever, but I feel like it's going to end up, after all the opening weekend and people start reviewing it, I think it's going to end up in like the 7 out of 10 range, because I think, you'll have people that give it a 1 and give it a 10, but I think most people will end up giving it like a 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10. So that's where I think it'll end up. But I'm very excited. It did get me excited because I was really pumped up to see a Marvel movie, and I'm really pumped up to see Avengers Infinity War, I think that's what it's called. Anyways, but that's yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think. I'd love to also know what you guys think about walkandlovecontent.com. If you're a content creator, I'd tell you to head there now. But after this short break, we'll be back with Super Bowl champion Trey Burton. How cool is it that I get to say that on the Walk and Love podcast? All right, we'll be right back. Hey, podcast listeners and watchers. We have a special deal just for you. If you guys watched this far in the show, you're going to get a special coupon for 30% off anything in your cart, a one-time coupon. Just use the code podcast at checkout on shopwalkandlove.com. Hey guys, welcome back to the Walk and Love podcast. I am very, very excited about our next guest. Between the two of us, we've thrown 1 Super Bowl touchdown pass. With me now is Trey Burton, Super Bowl champ, father of 3. Trey, how are you today?
Oh man, doing well.
Doing good.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so Super Bowl champions, unbelievable. We're obviously in Pennsylvania, so everyone here was rooting for the Eagles. You couldn't find a single Patriots fan, and if you did, they were probably hiding underground because Eagles fans are intense. But how you doing, man? How you feeling? Just living the high life right now, I'm sure.
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy last week or so. I'm back in Florida now, so
Okay.
I'm out of the cold.
Right, that's nice.
Can't do it. Yeah, I can't do it for too much longer. Minnesota was a crazy
Yes.
cold.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, it seems like the warm weather Super Bowls are the better place to have them.
Yeah, I don't know who makes the decision for that, but
start moving them back down south. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't want to take up too much of your time, but we have some questions from our audience, from our fans. The first question comes from Jamie Calix. She wants to know, what are your pre-game rituals? Like, is there a song you listen to, or like what gets you fired up for a big game?
Yeah, the longer I've played this game, the more I've realized that you need to have a routine. So I wouldn't necessarily say I do this ritualistic thing or anything like that, but I have a normal routine, where it's as like I try to get to the stadium a little bit more than 3 hours before the game, and just do a bunch of like small things in a certain way, and it doesn't have to be in the exact order, but like at a certain time, I know that it's time for me to go get my wrist taped, or it's time to go put my eye black on,
right?
Things like that. But I would say the only thing that would be constant every single game before we go out, after the coach like does his last little meeting with the whole team, and we're about to run out the tunnel, I always put on "You Make Me Brave" by Bethel.
Oh, awesome.
And, I actually don't. I'm not. I love listening to the music, but I enjoy watching it a lot more. So when they do like those live music videos, oh man,
gets you going.
Right down. Yeah, it's right down my alley.
Right. I think I might add eye black to my morning ritual. Just like get ready, get up, put my eye black on, come into the office. That might be something that I think my wife would be into. So obviously you threw a touchdown pass. Did you ever think that would be your life? You were a quarterback though at one point, right?
Yeah, no, I never thought it was gonna happen. We had to play in for a little bit of time, and was hoping that we were gonna call it. But what better time to call it than in the Super Bowl?
Oh man, so cool! I just remember like I'm watching it with my family, and I just freak out. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Trey. He has a walking left shirt. Yeah. So how were you feeling like when it was called? Were you just like, were you ready? Like what were you feeling when that play was called?
I think like the only really thought that I had was like, all right, we're really doing this like right now.
Right.
Didn't really think about the situation or, really anything else. I mean, I was confident that I was going to be able to get it to him.
Right.
I mean, he was so wide open.
Looks like we lost a little bit of audio there. Are you still with us? Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. We got you back. Yeah, it's all right. The next question we have from is Allison.Rehum. She wants to know if you would what advice you'd give to your younger self. I mean, you don't look that old. How old are you?
I'm 26.
26, yeah. Yeah, I'm 32. So, yeah, that's making me feel even older. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate that.
I got 3 kids, bro. So
yeah.
I'm really old.
That's right. Yeah, I've only got 2, so you got me beat there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any advice you'd give to your younger self?
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about like faith-wise? Talking about sports-wise?
I think any sort of perspective you can give on that would be good. The advice I'd give to my younger self is I'd probably go to this really sweet haircut earlier in life and not have the mop head, but that's just me.
I think a lot of areas in my life, like from high school to college and college to the NFL, if we're just talking about the athletic side of things, would be just make sure I think I could have taken more advantage or like soaked in my time better and more in high school and in college, just because I was so eager to get to the next level and what's the next thing.
Right. Yep.
Instead of being in the moment and staying in the moment. So one of the guys who would come to speak to our team every single year was Dr. Elko, and one of the biggest things he would always tell us was be where your feet are, and don't worry about the next day or next year or whatever, but like enjoy the time that you are in right now. And so that's been really beneficial for me the last couple of years.
Right. That's awesome. And I think that's pretty truthful too for your faith level as well. Like you always, and just life in general, like you're engaged and you just can't wait to get married. And so you sometimes don't soak up that engagement or soak up those few first years of marriage, and you just kind of think of the next one. I think that's good athletically.
Or I want to have kids. I want to have 1,000 kids. But enjoy the time that you have, the only time you have with your wife, during those couple of months or whatever.
Yeah, that's really good. And I guess the last question and the main question, this wasn't just from one specific person, but the main question that we got throughout our feed and on social was, you guys on the Eagles this year seem to have a really special faith-based core group of guys. And we'd love to just hear some insight on sort of what that locker room dynamic was, how that, influenced the success of the season, and just sort of any sort of input you could give us on what it was like being in what seemed to be a very Christ-centered locker room.
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't know where to even start with that. I just know that what we were a part of, or what I was a part of, the last 3 or 4 years has just been really special. We've had a lot of guys who are extremely bold and outspoken about their faith, and what's really cool is when you have a bunch of guys collectively together speaking about their faith boldly, it just tends to draw more attention to it, and it gives you the okay, or it gives you, if you have any doubt or any anxiety or any fear about talking about your faith or what Jesus or the Lord's done in your life, and you see the starting quarterback or the head coach or the offensive coordinator speaking about their faith so boldly, I mean, you have no other option but to follow their lead. And so I remember one of the things that really helped me when I first got to Philly was my rookie year, and I was invited to Bible study. It was before meetings and things. It was like 7:15 in the morning, and I remember I walk in the Bible study, and the first person that says anything was Nick Foles. And I'm like, okay, cool. The dude's a beast, spiritually nice. Yeah. He's opening us up in prayer and everything. And then it goes on longer and longer. And Nick starts leading the Bible study. And Nick starts, talking about breaking verses down and, getting deep into the Word. And I remember leaving that first Bible study, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, the starting quarterback, like the most quote unquote important person on an NFL football team, is leading Bible study. What am I doing with my life?
Wow,
I just remember, just the challenge that I faced with that, and I was like, man, if this guy's speaking so boldly, why am I afraid to say anything?
Oh, looks like we're losing a little bit here. We're having some audio issues, but hey, Trey, you still with us? I don't know if it's your connection. It paused a little bit, but we can't hear you. But that was our last question, and you got it head on. We won't take any more of your time, but we really appreciate you reaching out to us. And people I can't really hear you, man, but it's okay. But people can find you on Instagram at Trey Burton 8, and we'd love to have our fans go and check out what Trey's doing. Appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for being with us. Maybe just give us a thumbs up since we can't hear you right now. But appreciate you, man, and hope your off season goes really well and lots of success to you in the future. All right, Trey, we'll see you later, man. All right, guys, that's it. Sorry about the little technical difficulty at the end. Obviously, we're new to this interview thing, but what powerful words. This guy's an NFL player. He's 26 years old, and just for him to see that the leadership of someone else in his life really prompted him to be more bold about his faith. And I often think like I'm just one guy that sells T-shirts in a very small town of Manheim, Pennsylvania, and I think sometimes we underestimate the reach that we can have and the things that we can do for the Lord. And even you can even hear it, just an NFL player saying just that. He went to his first Bible study, he's new to the NFL, and he sees this guy leading him, and he says, man, if he's doing that, what can I do? And I think that all of you are probably in a position like that, where you might see someone that is doing something really great, and instead of being like, oh no, like my life stinks, blah, 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 that could be really easy, but instead use that to sort of motivate you to get out there and do something bold for the Lord. Not necessarily everybody will have the platform that Trey does. Not everybody will have the platform that Nick Foles does. Not everybody will have the platform that I do, but I think whatever platform we have, we should use well and use it for the Lord. And I just, again, we had audio issues there at the end, but again, I want to just say thank you to Trey Burton for taking the time to meet with us. Obviously, as an NFL player, he gets reached out to by a lot of people, but we appreciate his time and we appreciate your time. We obviously are very, very grateful for our fans and audience for watching that. We have lots more guests coming in the future, and so we hope you guys will keep coming back. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.